Hello and welcome to Ignited Minds. Today it's 13th of July 2024 and we are here discussing the Hindu newspaper. This analysis will be to the point. As you can see, the 9 most important articles for today are highlighted on your screens. The first one talks about the Eklavya model schools, which were started by the central government, and now there is a problem about the centralized recruitment for these tribal schools, as the persons who are being recruited into these schools, they belong to some other region and they are being sent to some other region. Second important article talks about the Kaziranga. This national park is very much important when we talk about UPSC exam. Multiple times asked. Another most important editorial of our today is about the public distribution system. We will also see the case study of Xinjiang province of China. What are the nits and grits of it? We will also see the map of BRI. We will also see the map of over the land, Silk Route, Maritime Route, and the key areas in Xinjiang province. There is an important article about the administrative role of Lieutenant Governor in Jammu and Kashmir. On 25th of the June, it was back before 49 years. In 1975, the emergency was declared, and today the government has declared that day, 25th June, as Samvidhaan Hatya Diwas. We will also see what are the issues and challenges with a billionaire tax, what is it, and what are the future prospects of it. We will also see about Enforcement Directorate and some green projects for which we need to boost our financing mechanism. So let's move forward and start the today's discussion with our tradition, and that is to start with a UPSC prelims PYQ. This prelims question was asked in UPSC 2024. This question is about the Government of India Act 1935. Fine. The question asks simply that what are the provisions which were included or which were brought in by Government of India Act 1935. Very simple question was it. ठीक है, हर एक इंसान ये एक्ट पढ़ता है. दोनों प्रोविजंस दोनों प्रोविजंस जो है लक्ष्मीकांत पे लिखे हुए हैं. फर्स्ट इज द प्रोविजन विच ऑल ऑफ अस नो दैट इट provided for the establishment of an all India federation based on the union of British Indian provinces and princely states, but the second statement is less known to the people. ठीक है, उतना ज़्यादा नहीं पता है लोगों को about the defense and foreign affairs, as these were kept under the federal legislature. The key point was legislature. ठीक है, they were kept under the Governor General through his reserved जो उसका लिस्ट था उसमें. Now the point is, what are the key provisions of this act? This act provided for establishment of All India Federation, which is quite right. The first statement is right, but the second statement was not right. The point is the division of powers. The act divided powers between center and provinces into the three lists. Provincial autonomy was abolished. Okay, not continued. It introduced diarchy at center, in which defense, external affairs, and other matters and the matters of tribal affairs were reserved in the hands of Governor General, not the legislature. Then the bicameral legislature acted. The bicameral legislature was established. A bicameral legislature which was federal in nature consisted of Council of States, the federal legislature, the central legislature consisted of two houses, as we have continued that tradition till now. One was the Council of State and another was Federal Assembly. Very simple answer. Very simple question was this. let's move to the next slide. Fine. The other features or the other provisions of this act were that at the central level, if you see, executive council and governor general's council, particularly the executive council with governor general being the head of this council, had these powers. ये चूंकि लक्ष्मीकांत में नहीं लिखा हुआ है, तो you might get confused about this. Let me explain it in a bit detail. That is, basically it was executive council of governor general. ठीक है, एग्जीक्यूटिव काउंसिल के अंदर थे रिजर्व्ड सब्जेक्ट्स. ठीक है, और रिजर्व्ड सब्जेक्ट्स में ही आता था डिफेंस, ट्राइबल अफेयर्स एंड एक्लेसियल अफेयर्स. This executive council was not responsible for the parliament or the legislature. ठीक है, this was something separate. So these matters were not under the legislature, the federal legislature, but under the executive council. ठीक है, the federal legislature, the federal legislature consisted of two things, as we saw, council of states and assembly. In council of states there were 260 members, and in assembly there were 375 members. ठीक है, the council of states was directly elected, while as the assembly was indirectly elected. ठीक है, out of all the members, 1/3 of the assembly was nominated by princes. Then the 5-year duration, these assembly members had a 5-year duration, and there was a provision of vote of no confidence motion. If it was passed, then all the members of this assembly had to resign. Those who were the ministers had to resign at that point. Okay, very well understood. Now let's move to this article which is highlighted over here on your screen. This editorial talks about the Eklavya model school or the Eklavya residential school. The scheme was way back brought in by the government of India in 2018, or before that, I guess so. I do not remember the exact date of the scheme, but yes, the scheme was uh, is comes under the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. ठीक है. Now, just a moment. Let me erase all of this. Now, let's begin. This scheme, which is also known as EMRS, Eklavya Model Residential School, this scheme was comes under the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. ठीक है, Ministry of Tribal Affairs. ठीक है, Eklavya Model Schools, they were set up by central government. They are set up by central government. In budget 2018-19, it was proposed that every block with more than 50% of ST population, with more than 50% of ST population, or at least 20,000 tribals or 20,000 tribal persons are living in any of the blocks, there will be a school which will be established as Eklavya Model Residential School by the year 2022. तो 2022 तक का ये टारगेट था कि हर उस ब्लॉक में जहाँ पे 50% से ज़्यादा आबादी शेड्यूल ट्राइब्स की है या 20,000 से ज़्यादा ट्राइब्स, ये 20,000 से ज़्यादा पॉपुलेशन है ट्राइब्स की, there we will establish a school named Eklavya Model Residential School. These schools were built, provided, and the schools were provided as per the funds were given as a grant under Article 275, which provides for discretionary grants of the central government. Now, the schools were to be administered by an autonomous body. इसका नाम क्या था? This body will be there. This body will be under Ministry of Tribal Affairs. This body will be similar to something which will be similar to नवोदय विद्यालय समिति. जैसे एनवी के स्कूल्स होते हैं वैसे ही इन स्कूल्स के लिए भी ये बॉडी बनाई जाएगी. अंडरस्टूड? सो नाउ द in 2023 budget session, the finance minister announced that the responsibility will be now shifted to National Education Society for Tribal Students, that is NESTS. So, which has now been given the task of staffing around 38,000 positions in over 400 एकलव्य schools. ठीक है, इन सब स्कूल्स में जो टीचर्स का रिक्रूटमेंट हो रहा है वो अब कौन करेगा? ये बॉडी करेगी. कौन सी बॉडी? जिसका नाम है नेस्ट्स. वेरी वेल अंडरस्टूड. नाउ व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम इन दिस? कि अगर ये बॉडी रिक्रूटमेंट कर रही है तो प्रॉब्लम क्या है? प्रॉब्लम ये है कि फॉर एग्जांपल ये कोई बंदा, कोई टीचर रिक्रूट कर रहे हैं नॉर्थ इंडिया से और उसको भेज रहे हैं सदर्न पार्ट्स ऑफ इंडिया में. ठीक है, there the culture will be different, the everything will be different for that person who is going over there. जो वहाँ पे काम कर रहा है, जो वहाँ पे गया हुआ है बंदा, जो टीचर बना हुआ है, जिसको टीचर बना के रिक्रूट किया गया है, he will face issues in staying over there, in living over there. So that is one of the issue which is highlighted over here. ठीक है. Now, let us have a look at the background of ST population in India. Okay. That is the scheduled tribe population in India. Currently, the total population of scheduled tribes in India is around 8.6% of the total population, out of which 11.3% are based, are living in rural areas. Okay. There is a significant increase in their literacy rates, but the problem stands that there is only 58.96% as per the 2011 census. The percentage who are literate among the tribes. Therefore, there is our act, the RTE Act of 2009, which mandates that every child from 6 to 14 years of age must be provided free and compulsory education. So, due to the compulsion of this act, we must take steps to ensure the full literacy of these people. Okay. There is high dropout rate, less enrollment rate across the states and blocks which are inhabited by the tribal people. Therefore, now the issue is that we should do more for this population because this is a large section of population in India. Understood? So, therefore, such steps like Eklavya Model School was introduced back then in the budget 2018-19, and now the issue is this so that you understand it properly. Okay? Now, let's move to the next editorial. This editorial is very much important. Why is it important? First of all, Kaziranga has been asked by UPSC in multiple years. ठीक है, बहुत बार ऐसा पूछा गया है. Now the point is, every year or every alternate year, Kaziranga faces flood. और इसकी मेन रीजन है फ्लड की, दैट इज वी ऑल नो ब्रह्मपुत्र रिवर. ठीक है. नाउ हेयर द न्यूज, जो आज की न्यूज है ये क्या बोल रही है? बोल रही है दैट देर आर वुमेन फॉरेस्ट गार्ड्स हु हेल्प द फ्लड हिट एनिमल्स बाय पेट्रोलिंग हाईवे एडजॉइनिंग द रिजर्व. तो रिजर्व के आसपास जो हाईवे है वहां पे ये लोग पहरा देते हैं दैट the animal should not come to the highway or they should not come in conflict with the human lives. ठीक है. और वहाँ पे उनकी सेफ्टी को सिक्योर करने के लिए these women forest guards are there. First thing, that is about the news. Now, where is Kaziranga located? काजीरंगा इज लोकेटेड ओवर हेयर। ठीक है, कहाँ पे है काजीरंगा? काजीरंगा अरुणाचल प्रदेश में, सॉरी असम में है, जस्ट मिस्ड इट आउट। असम में देर आर अदर नेशनल पार्क्स ऑल्सो विच वी शुड रिमेंबर इन एन ऑर्डर। ठीक है, सबसे पहले हम देखेंगे मानस वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी, ओरांग नेशनल पार्क जिसको हम मिनी काजीरंगा भी बोलते हैं। ठीक है, मिनी काजीरंगा भी बोलते हैं। देन लाओखोवा वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी, काजीरंगा वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी, देन हुलांग पार गिब्बॉन or the Hulong Gibbon Wildlife Sanctuary, and at the last there is Dibru Saikhowa National Park. These are the national parks जो असम में है। Now the important point is that which of these lie in the nearer to Brahmaputra river. It's only Laukhowa, Kaziranga and Dibru Saikhowa which are near to this Brahmaputra main stream जो ब्रह्मपुत्र की है। रेस्ट आर ऑन द ट्रिब्यूटरीज ऑफ ब्रह्मपुत्र। ठीक है, तो उनको थोड़ा बहुत याद रखना है। अंडरस्टूड? नॉर्मल थिंग। नाउ सम फैक्ट्स अबाउट काजीरंगा नेशनल पार्क। काजीरंगा इज लोकेटेड इन, it's actually located in Golaghat and Nagaon district of Assam. This wildlife sanctuary was established in 1974. It's currently a UNESCO World Heritage Site and it houses two-thirds of the total population of one horned rhino. वर्ल्ड की जो टोटल पॉपुलेशन है उसमें 2/3 पॉपुलेशन काजीरंगा में अकेले है। दैट इज वाई इट्स वेरी डेंसली पॉपुलेटेड बाय वन हॉर्न राइनोज। ठीक है, इसीलिए यहाँ के बाद अगर कहीं वन हॉर्न राइनो की सबसे ज़्यादा पॉपुलेशन है, दैट इज वाई वी कॉल मिनी काजीरंगा। किसको बोलते हैं हम? ओरांग को। नाउ काजीरंगा इज द लार्जेस्ट अनडिस्टर्ब्ड area in Brahmaputra Valley floodplains. The vegetation of this is a mix of wet alluvial grasslands semi-evergreen forests and tropical moist deciduous forests and tropical moist deciduous forests. This comes to the vegetation. Next is its flora. You can see dense and tall elephant grasses, and swamplands. So swampy land is there, elephant grasses are there. ठीक है, next there is abundant cover of water lilies, the major issue with this wildlife sanctuary is now large scale water hyacinth, which is an invasive species, and we also find lotus over here. ठीक है, there is a species known as ratan cane. What is this ratan cane? This is a type of climbing palm. It is a palm species which is found over here. ठीक है, if you talk about the fauna of this wildlife sanctuary, the fauna includes one-horned rhinos, leopards, fishing cats, Royal Bengal tiger, We also have civets, sambar deer और barking deer जो ऑलरेडी यूपीएससी पूछ चुका है. वी हैव हॉग डेयर जो यूपीएससी पूछ चुका है आपने वन ऑफ द दिस ऑप्शंस में. ठीक है. काजीरंगा is also one of the last remaining homes of western hollog gibbon. This western hollog gibbon is both endangered and endemic. ठीक है. The only species of ape which is found in India. Remember this thing. ठीक है. This this national park is one of the last home of critically endangered Bengal florican. One of the last homes of critically endangered Bengal florican. So these are the important points you must remember about Kaziranga. Now moving further to the next editorial. This editorial is written by the Deputy Director, Survey Design and Research Division, National Sample Survey Office. That is why I picked this editorial. It's written by a well-reputed bureaucrat. So the editorial talks about the public distribution system of India. What is the basic crux of this editorial? It's based on the recently the data which came out of the household consumption expenditure survey which was conducted in 2022-2023. Now let's see the crux of this editorial. The editorial talks about food security and public distribution system in India. It says that PDS is crucial for social security, a crucial social security program in India which ensures food security. So how does it ensure food security? The editorial says NFSA, that is the National Food Security Act, covers under 75% of the rural population and 50% of the urban population under the subsidized food grain program. As per the household consumption expenditure survey, the data collected on free food and non-food items received through various social welfare programs. It's not designed to provide precise estimates of program coverage but offers insights into the beneficiary categories. First of all, it says that this survey is not for the estimates कि प्रोग्राम ने कवर कितना किया और उससे कितना हमारा बेनिफिट हुआ किसी भी सोशल वेलफेयर प्रोग्राम से इन दो चीज़ों पे फ्री फूड आइटम्स एंड नॉन फूड आइटम्स पे. But yes, we can have some insights out of that. Now the insight is that imputation of free items. First is, for the first time, NSSO has imputed values for selected free food and non-food items which are received by households. कि जो सर्वे हुई है उस सर्वे में ये डेटा इंक्लूड किया गया है. They have imputed the data about the free food and non-food items. First thing is this. This allows for the calculation of two metrics. One is monthly per capita consumption expenditure and another is the imputation of this expenditure. The methodology which was used was that they used a model unit price and a 25th percentile unit price for each state. This is methodology which is not important for us, and we must remember this fact that the imputation is done only for the free items, not for all the items, not for the subsidized PDS purchases. Done only for the free items which are not paid. UPSC asked a similar question in past that if an item is given free to the public, where does the opportunity cost shift? Okay. So you should be aware of these things. about the free items. Now, the impact of free food items. This editorial, this is the important point over here. It says that about 94 to 95% of the imputed value is attributable to food items primarily from the PDS. जो फूड आइटम्स पीडीएस से मिलते हैं, जितना भी हमने डेटा या वैल्यूज इंप्यूट किए हैं, वो सारे दे आर अट्रीब्यूटेबल टू पीडीएस ओनली. दैट इज व्हाई he has highlighted the importance of PDS. He says that average imputed value for food is rupees 82 in rural areas and 59 in urban areas. Then he also says what are its effects on the consumption distribution. It says that some households in lower consumption fractiles move to higher fractiles when free items are considered. ठीक है, अगर इन फ्री आइटम्स का पैसा भी जोड़ा जाए, then the people who are otherwise in low consumption, they will be shifted to higher consumption. So the point is, then the data of the survey will change if we calculate the free items also. So that is the importance of this indicator. This indicates that in kind social transfers increase the value of consumption for poorer households. The implications for poverty measurement are that the poverty should be measured based on the expenditure of total value of the consumption including the free items. That is what this author has claimed कि हमें अब free items पे भी calculation बिठाना चाहिए when we talk about the poverty. ठीक है, it should not be about the which is calculatable income. Rather, we should calculate these free items also because the cost of the opportunity cost is shifted to the tax-paying people. ठीक है, oh, that is all about the discussion. However, there are some limitations which are associated to the survey. That is, the survey underestimates the program coverage compared to the administrative data. ठीक है. Next editorial talks about the freedom and control in Xinjiang province. The editorial is too big in nature, it cannot be read. It will take too much of time to read. That is why I have summarized it in very crisp manner. There are 2 points which the editorial highlights, two dimensions of this editorial which I have extracted. First is the editorial's scenario, what it actually wants to highlight. It says that Chinese government recently, the Eid festival which passed in the recent past, in the recent month, the month of I guess June it was, when it was the June or July, I don't remember. It was July only. In the month of July only, the June, I don't remember. It was June, I guess, when the Eid was there, the festival of Eid. So it's said that the Chinese government has highlighted this thing. They have promoted a national unity and ethnic diversity. In the first paragraph of this editorial, it's highlighted that how a stage is set where different people come and they introduce themselves that I belong to Uzbekistan, I belong to Kazakhstan, I belong to Russia, I belong to Uyghur, I belong to this region, that region. But we all are one people and we all are Chinese people and we belong to China. Okay? That is how this editorial starts. And that is what China actually is providing to set a new discourse against the allegations which it has faced since decades about the human rights violation in this region. ठीक है, इतना समझ में आ गया कि यहाँ पे चाइना को बहुत ज़्यादा क्रिटिसिज्म फेस करना पड़ रहा था. डन. Now the important point is कि government claims that they have set up some educational vocational training centers in this region, but for rehabilitation of those people who belong to terrorist activities, separatist activities, militancy activities. But basically, these educational and vocational training centers are being criticized as detention centers. There is a push for sinicization of the religion because they want Islam to fit with the Chinese socialism. Rather than being a democratic country like India, it should have allowed the religious freedoms. The government promotes standard Chinese language while claiming to support ethnic languages. क्योंकि
Government is promoting Chinese language. It's not supporting the ethnic languages. A de-radicalization program is in place so that the people who were earlier associated with the terrorist activities, they are now de-radicalized in this province. So those are the important points which you should remember about the discussion. Okay? Because these points you may need in highlighting your answers, that how actually is the background story over there. The next dimension of this editorial was this, that it gave some data about the attacks in Kashgar and Urumqi provinces of uh, Urumqi region of Xinjiang province. Okay, terrorist activities. Second was that there were around 1588 violent and terrorist gangs which have been destroyed by Chinese Communist Party. Some other data like India's position on Uyghur issued is noted that India abstained from United Nations Rights Commission vote on the matter in 2022. Remember this thing. There are architectural features of the mosques in Xinjiang where there is absence of traditional Islamic elements. जीबो लैंग्वेज याद रखना है, जीबो लैंग्वेज कहाँ पे बोली जाती है, या जीबो लैंग्वेज के न्यूज़पेपर्स, जीबो लैंग्वेज का लाइक वेयर इज इट यूज्ड, तो ये इसी जिंगजियांग प्रोविंस में बोली जाती है. रिमेंबर दिस थिंग. लास्ट में देर इज अ की वर्ड दैट इज म्यूजियम स्टाइल मल्टीकल्चरलिज्म. ठीक है, मल्टीकल्चरलिज्म में अभी तक हमने पढ़ा था दो चीज़ें. वन इज सैलड बाउल एंड अनदर इज दिस, आई गेस there is something different, we call that some shake kind of thing. Mixed bowl and salad bowl and something different. Okay, there were two things of multiculturalism. Now you have one more keyword, that is museum style multiculturalism. If you're talking about the culturalism or the multiculturalism, or particularly when you talk about the preservation of cultural rights, India follows the salad bowl model. Okay, and there is proper mixing of cultures and removing of the cultural identities in the Western cultural model. But in China, there is museum style multiculturalism. Okay? That it's being preserved in the museum, that yes, we are multicultural, but actual on the ground, there is only one culture which is being enforced on the people. अंडरस्टूड यहाँ तक. अभी यहाँ पे कुछ कुछ प्लेसेस है जो न्यूज़ में थी, जो यहाँ पे हमने देखी. ये प्लेसेस कहाँ पे है? एक तो उरुमकी, तुर्पान एंड कशगर. तीनों प्लेसेस जिंगजियांग प्रोविंस में है चाइना की. तीनों प्लेसेस इंपॉर्टेंट है, याद रखनी है, पहली चीज. दूसरी चीज, ओवर द लैंड सिल्क रूट, वेयर वॉज इट? दिस इज द ओवर द लैंड सिल्क रूट. सेकेंड थिंग इज द वन बेल्ट वन रोड इनिशिएटिव. दिस इज द बेल्ट and this is the maritime route. Remember that there are two different things. Okay, maritime road and economic belt. Economic belt is the one which tends to overpower and to now change the earlier ancient silk route. ठीक है, that's it. Once we discuss China in detail, and then there is a broad lecture, full length lecture of 2 hours which we take on just the strategies of China to emerge as a new or next hegemon in the international sphere. Okay, just remember these positions, remember these countries, the important places which are on this map. ठीक है, लाइक बेलतुंग कहाँ पे है, अंडमान सी से पास होता है मेरी टाइम रोड और नॉट, कोल्लम कहाँ पे है, वेयर आर दीज रीजन्स लोकेटेड, तो ये आप देख सकते हो. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट एडिटोरियल इज important in nature. This editorial talks about the broadening of administrative role of the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir. Now, what is the actual role of Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir or Lieutenant Governor of any of the LTs? ठीक है, we will be discussing the role of LG of Jammu and Kashmir. So according to section 55 of the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act 2019, the powers of Lieutenant Governor are that Lieutenant Governor shall make rules on the advice of Council of Ministers for the allocation of business to the ministers, one thing, and for more convenient transactions of the business and ministers, including the procedure to be adopted in case of a difference of opinion between LG and Council of Ministers or the minister. ठीक है, one thing. Second thing, he also have power to make rules for details of work allocation, distribution of business among the departments, their powers and executive powers of LG. ठीक है. Second, as per these rules, there will be 39 departments in Jammu and Kashmir, such as school education, agriculture, higher education, horticulture, election, general administration. There will be 39 such departments. Out of all of this, police, public order, all India services, anti-corruption, these will fall under the executive functions of LG. This implies that the chief minister or the council of ministers in the state will have no say in their functioning, in the functioning of these four areas. समझ में आया? Next, the proposals or the matters which affect or are likely to affect the peace and tranquility of union territory or the interest of any minority of the union territory, like scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, backward class, there shall be essentially, the matter shall be essentially submitted to the lieutenant governor through chief secretary or under the intimation to the chief minister before issuing such orders. So the matters which belong to minority communities, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and backward classes, they must be submitted to LG. There should be an essentially, these matters should be essentially submitted to LG. Next important point is that any matter which is likely to bring the government of the union territory into controversy with center or state government shall as soon as be possible be brought to the notice of the LG and chief minister through chief secretary. ठीक है, the chief secretary of the state will be responsible for this thing कि अगर कोई भी ऐसा issue है जिसमें the government of union territory and the government of center comes in conflict and comes in controversy, that issue must be reported to LG and chief minister. ठीक है, all the important communications which are there received from the center से जो भी आदेश आएगा, that should be ASAP submitted by the chief secretary or the minister in charge or the chief minister and LG for their information. Done. Now comes the last and the most critical dimension of this. Okay, that is the controversy. Okay, so when there is difference of opinion, ये जो डिफरेंस ऑफ ओपिनियन का मैटर है ये दिल्ली में बहुत ही ज़्यादा टाइम से चल रहा है, ठीक है, बिटवीन LG एंड द दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट. So when there is a difference of opinion between LG and a minister and there is no agreement which can be reached even in a month, कि एक महीने तक के लोग बात कर रहे हैं बट अभी भी कोई सुलह नहीं हो रही है, then remember this point, then the decision of LG shall be deemed to have been accepted by the council of ministers. It means जो decision उस टाइम पे LG लेगा, that decision will be considered and deemed that has been passed and accepted by council of ministers. Remember these points, these are important points not discussed in the editorial, but yes, I have given you the broad idea. You should remember it. Not only broad idea, I have given you the basic points of the act. जो एक्ट में लिखे हुए पॉइंट्स है वही बताए हैं मैंने, ठीक है. द नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज अबाउट संविधान हत्या दिवस. ठीक है. Basically, this step of the central government is to highlight the dark period of emergency, and on 27th of the June last month, पिछले महीने, even our prime minister also paid homage to all of those who have suffered the pain during the emergency and all of that. Now union government has decided that June 25, the day emergency was imposed in 1975, will be remembered and declared as Samvidhaan Hatya Diwas. Okay, this was announced by the home minister Amit Shah. Okay. Now let's go back a bit and see what actually happened in the emergency and what is all about the emergency, और emergency में क्या क्या होता है, कैसे articles है, कौन कौन सा article है. uh, have some patience and you will reap the fruits of this discussion very soon. ठीक है. Now the point is emergency. The constitutional provisions, Article 352 to Article 360. Under Part what's this part? I guess it's Part 18 of the Constitution. Sorry, Romans में थोड़ा दिक्कत हो रहा है. It's Part 18 of the Constitution. It was asked in UPSC also. ठीक है? Last year only, this year only. Sorry, we will discuss this question also. I guess we have discussed it in this series only. The emergency provisions in the Indian Constitution, जो emergency provisions है, कहाँ से लिए हैं हमने? जर्मनी से. ठीक है. जर्मनी के वाइमर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन से हमने लिए. ठीक है. इफ यू टॉक अबाउट द आर्टिकल्स, 352 से लेके 360 तक सारे आर्टिकल्स है. 352 says the proclamation of emergency. 353 talks about the effects of the emergency. Once the emergency comes into effect, what will happen? 354 talks about the application of the provisions like distribution of revenues. Article 355 talks about the duties of union to protect state. The duty of union to protect states against external aggression and internal disturbances. Article 356 talks about the provisions in case of failure of constitutional machinery. ठीक है, कि जहां कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन फेल हो जाएगा वहां पे प्रेसिडेंट्स रूल लगेगा. दिस इज बाय 356. बट एक्चुअल में 356 इज underlying the article of 356, there is Article 355, which talks about the duty of union to protect the states from both external and internal disturbances. Internal disturbance is this failure of constitutional machinery. Okay. So next is about Article 357, which talks about the legislative powers. 358 talks about the suspension of Article 19. 358 talks about Article 19 being suspended during the emergencies. Okay. Further, Article 360 talks about the financial emergencies. Done. 352 is about national emergency. National emergency के grounds कितने हैं? 3. One is war, external aggression और armed rebellion. ठीक है. 3 चीजें. The term armed rebellion was introduced through 44th Constitutional Amendment Act, and it replaced the term internal disturbance, which was in the original constitution. Very well understood. ठीक है. Once the Article 352 wala emergency is imposed, there will be a declaration grant. The executive will have vast powers to suspend the fundamental rights. तो सस्पेंशन ऑफ फंडामेंटल राइट्स के पावर्स किसके पास जाते हैं? एग्जीक्यूटिव के पास जाते हैं. बट एक्सेप्ट आर्टिकल 20 एंड 21, इन दो आर्टिकल्स को जो है एग्जीक्यूटिव सस्पेंड नहीं कर सकता, बाकी सबको कर देगा. 358 के अंदर आर्टिकल 19 ऑटोमेटिकली सस्पेंड हो जाता है. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट इज ड्यूरेशन एंड पार्लियामेंट्री अप्रूवल. तो आपको ये याद रखना है कि 352 के अंदर जब इमरजेंसी लगेगी, इट मस्ट बी अप्रूव्ड बाय बोथ द हाउसेस विद इन 1 month ऑफ द टाइम फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ इट्स इशुएंस. Rest, it has to be approved by the parliament for every 6 months. It can be approved and can be extended for indefinite period of time, but has to be approved for every 6 months. हर 6 महीने पे अप्रूवल चाहिए. कितनी देर के लिए अप्रूवल मिल सकता है? इंडेफिनिट पीरियड के लिए मिलेगा अप्रूवल. इमरजेंसी कैन कंटिन्यू फॉर 6 months वंस इट्स इम्पोज्ड. ठीक है. Then revocation of this emergency 352 के अंदर, the revocation is by the president himself at any time by a proclamation. Such proclamation does not require any parliamentary approval. ठीक है. प्रेसिडेंट जब चाहे तब इसको रिवोक कर सकता है. इट्स नॉट रिक्वायर्ड कि पार्लियामेंट उसको अप्रूव करे. पहली चीज. ठीक है. रेवोकेशन के दो टाइप्स हैं. वन इज बाय प्रेसिडेंट एंड अनदर इज बाय लोकसभा. लोकसभा अगर चाहे तो वो इमरजेंसी को रिवोक कर सकती है. कैसे करेगी? लोकसभा एक सिंपल मेजॉरिटी से एक रेजोल्यूशन पास करेगी, जो रेजोल्यूशन में लिखा होगा दैट वी डिसकंटिन्यू द नेशनल इमरजेंसी. बस, दीज आर द 2 points. देन comes the other aspects, judicial review, applicability, which we will discuss in a broad topic if it's about emergency only. ठीक है. Let's move to the next editorial. Next news article. Article talks about the billionaire tax. What is this billionaire tax? This is actually tax on high net worth individuals, जिनको हम HNI भी बोलते हैं. Basically, this tax was proposed by a person, an economist. He is a French economist. He's a French economist. His name is Gabriel Zucman. ठीक है. He recommended something, an annually 2% tax on the persons whose wealth is exceeding $1 billion. बस, रिमेंबर द कॉन्सेप्ट वेरी वेल. इसको बहुत अच्छे से रिमेंबर करो. समझ लो कि ये दिया किसने, क्या बोला और उसने कितना बोला है. बस. ठीक है. $1 बिलियन से ज़्यादा जिसकी वेल्थ होगी, नॉट इनकम, नॉट टर्नओवर, नॉट प्रॉफिट, वेल्थ होगी, उसी पे लगेगा एक टैक्स, जिसको हम बोलेंगे क्या? सॉरी, जिसको हम बोलेंगे बिलियनियर टैक्स. ये किसने बोला 2% का टैक्स? गैब्रियल ज़ुकमैन ने. ही इज़ अ फ्रेंच इकोनॉमिस्ट. रिमेंबर द टर्म एज इट इज़. जितना बोला उतना ही याद रखना है और ऐसे ही याद रखना है. मार्क माई वर्ड्स, अगर आया तो बस इतना ही पूछा जाएगा. ठीक है. नाउ व्हाट्स अ वेल्थ टैक्स? Wealth tax is basically based on the market value of the assets which are owned by a taxpayer. A person जिसके पास घर है, गाड़ी है, बंगला है, सब कुछ है, उसकी टोटल वेल्थ को असेस किया जाएगा, वैल्यू किया जाएगा, कितना वैल्यू बनेगा उसका, उसी के हिसाब से जो मार्केट वैल्यू उस टाइम की होगी उसको उतना टैक्स, उसके हिसाब से टैक्स देना पड़ेगा, लाइक 2% इन दिस केस. ठीक है. द प्रोन्स एंड कॉन्स आर दैट those who are accumulating wealth at the top levels, they should be taxed, and that wealth can be used for the benefit of the larger society. ठीक है. Basic thing is that once you analyze this tax, why should it be done? ठीक है. Because there is a large scale inequality which is present in the society. ठीक है. Currently, if you see the recent data from last month talked about this thing, that how much inequality is there. More than I guess 90% of the wealth is at the global level is being held by the people who are less than 1% in their capacity, in their population. ठीक है. So actually around top 1% of the top 1% income and wealth shares, they are there with the India's top 1% income share is among the very highest in the world. Okay. Therefore, the super tax on these very wealthy individuals can be a good idea to decrease these inequalities. Basic idea यही है, बस इतना ही आइडिया है और इसी को थोड़ा बहुत समझना है, that what is the issue and how can this be beneficial to the larger society. ठीक है. Just a moment. I just want to highlight over here that what are the basic dimensions and what are the basic data sets about inequality in the current dimension, in the current scenario. Maybe it's not possible over here. Let's move to the next editorial. This editorial talks about boosting the finances for green energy projects. Okay. How can you boost finance about the green energy projects? Means those projects which produce green energy, which are green in nature, which have less impact on the climate environment, they these projects should be boosted with investment. Once they get finances, then only you can get more greener projects. Once you get greener projects, then you can move towards green economy and achieve your net zero goals by 2070. The editorial has several key points about green growth and sustainable energy, which you should remember. First of all, there was this our Prime Minister Modi's commitment at COP26 for 500 gigawatts of fossil fuel free energy capacity by 2030. पहला टारगेट हमारा ये है. ठीक है कि 500 गीगावाट्स की हमें एनर्जी बनानी है, कैपेसिटी बनानी है, which should be fossil fuel free. नेक्स्ट टारगेट जो हम सबको याद है, नेट जीरो एमिशंस बाय 2070, हर एक अपने आंसर में लिखता रहता है. ठीक है. वेरी वेल, इट शुड बी रिटन, डोंट बी अशेम्ड ऑफ इट. और ऐसा मत करना कि मैं नहीं लिखूंगा क्योंकि सब लोग लिख रहे हैं, नहीं, वो फिर बेवकूफ़ी होगी. ये पॉइंट लिखना ज़रूरी है. नेक्स्ट, द नीड फॉर अर्ली पीकिंग एंड रिडक्शन ऑफ फॉसिल फ्यूल्स इज important. And if it's important, then budget, the upcoming budget should actually, today it's 13th of the July and today only the budget will be presented. The budget should focus on these things, and there is actually competitiveness in renewable energy, and the government should focus on increasing its competitiveness when it comes to the renewable energy. तो हमारी renewable energy should be more competitive, like cheaper in cost, more productive, recyclable, है ना. तो that should be the focus of government. We should produce cheaper long term debt also for the storage projects. अगर कोई entrepreneur storage project start कर रहा है तो उसके लिए cheap और long term debt avail कराना भी government को ज़रूरी है. The proposal is कि PLI scheme जो है, ये सारे points आप suggestions में लिख सकते हो अपने आंसर के. That is the utility of this discussion. ठीक है. जितने भी यहाँ पॉइंट्स लिखे हुए हैं, ये पॉइंट्स आप अपने आंसर के वे फॉरवर्ड में, कंक्लूजन में, सजेशंस में लिख सकते हो आराम से. दैट इज व्हाई आई हैव हाईलाइटेड दीज पॉइंट्स. ये इसीलिए है. रेस्ट आपको प्रीलिम्स में अगर पूछा गया तो ये एक पॉइंट पूछा जाएगा यहाँ तक का. ठीक है, उससे ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं. PLI scheme can be used to boost the domestic solar panel manufacturing. ठीक है. Next important point is that we should also focus on डोमेस्टिकली प्रोक्योरमेंट ऑफ सोलर पैनल्स. कि जो सोलर पैनल्स हम यूज़ कर रहे हैं, चाहे वो सोलर रूफ टॉप बना रहे हैं, हम हाउस होल्ड्स में यूज़ कर रहे हैं, इरिगेशन में यूज़ कर रहे हैं, कहीं पे भी यूज़ कर रहे हैं, वो सोलर पैनल्स डोमेस्टिकली प्रोक्योर किए जाए, यहाँ के मार्केट से प्रोक्योर किए जाए, ना कि इंपोर्ट किए जाए. There should be a goal to become self-reliant in batteries and electronics for electric vehicles within 5 years. This is what the article suggests. These are the points which you can use. There should be emphasis given on national hydrogen mission so that India becomes competitive in green manufacturing and becomes a green manufacturing hub. Remember, there was a tax, European Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, CBAM, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इन नेचर. ये यूरोप में इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया. क्या बोला गया कि कोई भी प्रोडक्ट जो बनाया गया हो और उसको बनाने में कार्बन इमिट हुआ हो और वो कार्बन जो है वो प्रोडक्ट यूरोप में इंपोर्ट किया जाए, तो उस प्रोडक्ट के ऊपर यूरोपियन यूनियन एक टैक्स लगाएगा जिसको बोलेंगे कार्बन टैक्स. अंडरस्टूड? क्योंकि वो प्रोडक्ट, फॉर एग्जांपल इंडिया में प्लास्टिक बॉटल बना, ठीक है, इस प्लास्टिक बॉटल को बनाने में जो कार्बन एमिट हुआ, अगर वो कंट्री उस कार्बन को वापस सिक्वेस्टर नहीं करती है, उस प्रोडक्ट को कार्बन न्यूट्रल नहीं बनाती है, वो इंडस्ट्री कार्बन न्यूट्रल इंडस्ट्री नहीं है, then there will be a carbon tax imposed on that product once it's imported in the territories of European Union. ठीक है. But the article suggests कि we should welcome this step and we should support our firms to help them reduce their carbon footprint for their exports. We should also provide credit guarantees and interest subsidies to such financing facilities so that हमारे यहाँ कैपिटल इन्वेस्टमेंट ईजी हो जाए इन लो कार्बन टेक्नोलॉजीज. कि कोई भी इंसान अगर लो कार्बन टेक्नोलॉजी बना रहा है, लाइक कोई ईवी बना रहा है, इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल बना रहा है, बैटरीज बना रहा है, तो जो लो कार्बन टेक्नोलॉजीज है अगर उसके लिए फाइनेंस चाहिए तो उन फाइनेंसेस पे गवर्नमेंट क्रेडिट गारंटी दे, गवर्नमेंट इंटरेस्ट सब्सिडी दे, विच इज अ बेटर थिंग टू boost the production or to boost towards greener economy. ठीक है, these are such issues, these are such points which you can use. And lastly, it says that green projects and positioning India as a leader in the sustainable energy is the aim of total investment in this green economy. The last section of our discussion daily is the UPSC PYQ from the UPSC मेंस. हम 2023 का पेपर डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, GS1 का पेपर डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. दिस क्वेश्चन वाज आस्क्ड इन UPSC 2023 GS1 पेपर. और पूछा क्या गया था कि कौन सी ऐसी मेजर टेक्निकल चेंजेस हैं जो इंट्रोड्यूस की थी सल्तनत पीरियड ने. वेरी वेल यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड, आप इसको समझ सकते हो और आपने ये पढ़ा भी है. But the twist comes in the next section of this question, that is how did these technological changes influence Indian society. ये जो ये कीवर्ड है ना, influence Indian society, मैं तो बोलता हूँ ये आप हर टॉपिक पे प्रिपेयर करो कि ये इंडियन सोसाइटी को कैसे इन्फ्लुएंस करता है. पिछली बार पूछा यूपीएससी ने हाउ क्रिप्टो करेंसी इज इन्फ्लुएंसिंग इंडियन सोसाइटी. तो यूपीएससी कैन आस्क क्वेश्चंस, remember how diverse questions they can ask in this keyword, how is it influencing Indian society. तो रिमेंबर कि आपको अपने इर्द गिर्द नज़र रखनी है कि कोई भी नई टेक्नोलॉजी आ रही है तो उससे क्या इम्पैक्ट पड़ रहा है नेबरहुड पे, सोसाइटी पे. ठीक है, ताकि आप रियलिस्टिक एग्जांपल्स दे पाओ. तो वेरी सिंपल इंट्रोडक्शन, यू कैन राइट अ बेटर इंट्रोडक्शन देन दिस. व्हाई एम आई राइटिंग दीज इंट्रोडक्शंस, नॉर्मल इंट्रोडक्शंस, ताकि आपके लिए आंसर राइटिंग स्टार्ट करना ईजी हो जाए. एग्रीकल्चर में यू कैन सी पर्शियन व्हील जिसको हम साकिया भी बोलते हैं. मोहम्मद बिन तुगलक established model farms to disseminate goods agricultural techniques. Firoz Shah Tughlaq introduced horticulture. He found 1200 fruit gardens. ट्रेड एंड कॉटन में कॉटन क्लॉथ का प्रोडक्शन, चरखा, कार्डस, बो was introduced. एंड टेक्सटाइल प्रोडक्शन, रंग साजी मतलब कलरिंग ऑफ द क्लोथ्स, प्रोमिनेंट प्रोफेशन बन गया था उस टाइम पे. ठीक है. सेरीकल्चर promoted the technique of sericulture, that is the silk production. पेपर टेक्नोलॉजी, पेपर माशी, ठीक है, like Zainul Abidin of this Jammu and Kashmir, the rural, he also promoted book binding techniques. ठीक है, तो these are the points जो आप लिख सकते हो. Glass technique was used, which was from Middle East. If you remember that enamel tiles were there, which were exported to whole of the world from Middle East only. Military techniques, like Turks bought in the horse riding techniques. They bought in the archers, the bow called navik, with entirely new techniques were introduced in this scenario. आर्किटेक्चर में भी हमने दिल्ली सल्तनत का आर्किटेक्चर, इंडो सारासनिक आर्किटेक्चर बहुत पढ़ा होगा, आपने भी पढ़ा होगा, ठीक है, अच्छे से पढ़ा होगा, आई नो दैट. नाउ द इम्पैक्ट ऑन द सोसाइटी, ठीक है, द एग्रीकल्चरल प्रोडक्शन इंक्रीज द न्यू टेक्निक्स, सरप्लस प्रोडक्शन से क्या हुआ, नाउ द सस्टेनेंस वाज इजी एंड इट लेड टू मोर अर्बनाइजेशन. Most historians believe that this was the third phase of the urbanization in India when there was advent of Turks. That is the impact on society. Economic activities were very dynamic and diverse, like cotton cloth production became much better. It means society became economically diverse. That means various professions were now accepted in the society. New architectural styles helped in the confluence of Indian and Islamic architecture, which led to the Indo-Saracenic architecture. These are the points which you can highlight over here in this question. Some other points you can also find. If you write this question, do send it to me on our Telegram group. We will get it evaluated for you. Okay. Rest, if you are facing for any of the problem in answer writing or in framing your strategy or in framing any of the things regarding GS optional, if you are starting your preparation, if you are in the mid of your preparation, or if you are a veteran of 2 to 3 attempts and not yet able to crack prelims or mains or facing problems in interview, you can contact me and have a proper mentorship session so that we understand your problem, frame a strategy, make a tailored plan for you, and then help you to design and understand how to improve on your problem and qualify this exam. Okay? At the end, I wish you all the best for your preparation, for your journey ahead. Stay motivated, stay hydrated, and stay strong. Thank you.